Hi there, it's Anthony from Evolution Series. I've got another fun instrument to look at. This one, I've always wanted to make a harp instrument, a classical harp instrument, and this was an opportunity too good to refuse. I met an amazing harpist, Emily Granger, such a lovely person and really, really talented. And the great thing is she is experimental, so she not just plays a lot of the classical sort of repertoire. She is also she likes experimenting with more prepared techniques and other interesting quirky sounds that is not often heard in a harp library. So this was an opportunity for me to explore two sides of a harp, the more classical focused sounds and then the more quirky, esoteric, prepared sounds. And then on top of that, we did Glissandi, and we also did some motion techniques, which are also a little bit fun. So look, without further ado, let's dive on in, have a look at the instrument. I'll show you around first, and we'll just focus on listening to sounds, okay? So here we have the home page. We have a virtual mixer where simply you can just grab the harp icon and move it around the stage. So if you want it further at the back, then it will use more of the room and far mics. If you want to have it up the front, it will use more of the close and overhead mics to get a more close, intimate sound. If you prefer a more traditional mixing approach, you can jump into here, click on that icon to swap out with the traditional mixer. So your close, overhead, room and far mics. If we want to save on a bit of memory overhead, you can click on this to get rid of these two mic overhead and far mics, but what actually is happening is it's loading a new set of samples, and this is actually a mix of the close and overhead, and this is a mix of the room and far. So if you want to go down that path, then you have that option. Okay, so from here you've got also some artificial verb if you want to add that to the room mics. It's just a nice addition. It's pretty useful. We have some room noise if you want a continual bit of rumble underneath the overall sound, which is cool. So some people like that kind of thing. And then you have dynamics. So if you wish to make the response more flat, then you can decrease the dynamics. But if you want it a little bit more of a wider response when playing, then you can increase that to your liking. It all just comes down to how you like to play on your keyboard. Here you've got advanced, you've got your velocity curve, round robin, you can reduce the amount of round robin, voice limiter if you wish to reduce the overall amount of voices. Scale lock here is handy if you want to say, let's look at this as an example. Let's say we want a natural minor scale and we want that to be D, and then we want to hide all the notes that aren't part of that. Then it will just show you all the notes that are part of the natural minor D. So pretty much whatever note that you play will be part of that scale. But then if you want to change it, say, to diminished or augmented, you've got all those, it just shows you the notes that are part of that scale, which is handy. So we'll turn that off. We have a simple attack and release if you want to adjust the overall sound a little bit, and we have a mute noise, which when you activate the sustain pedal, it will introduce a mute sound to stop the overall ringing of the strings. So if you want to kind of add a bit of mute on the fly, you can do that, and if you feel that you need to adjust the volume of that mute, you can from this page. And then if we skip to articulations, as you see here, we've got 4 different categories. At the moment, you can only have one category running at any given time. So we're in textural core mode, which focuses on more of the classical sorts of sounds. So you've got, normale, harmonic, xylophone effects, bartok, and then muted, presditable, sorry, pronunciation probably not so great, pinch and tremolo. You've got all the main bread and butter techniques, which are handy. Then if we click here, it will load just the textural things, the more prepared articulations, such as paper, fold back clips, pick, vibrato, body hits, paper clips, blue tack, that's pretty cool. A sitar kind of sound, which was interesting, and then a bunch of random effects. And then here, if you want to go to Glissandi, we have a bunch of tempo synced Glissandi for different scales. So for each one, you can use key switches to either jump from major, minor natural, minor harmonic, augmented, pentatonic, and whole. And within each one of those, we have a slow glissandi up and a fast glissandi up, and then a slow glissandi down and a fast glissandi down. These are really, really handy, really natural, and just easy to use. And then last but not least, we have motions, which if you're familiar with the Chronicles series, a big part of that are about these playable motion loops. So you grab an instrument, and then we sample the range of that instrument with a particular rhythm. In this case, we did whole, half, quarter, eighth, 16th, and triplet. So 16ths could be like ding, 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 ding. So we sample that loop across the full range of the instrument, and then you can play it out. So you're really capturing an organic, that organicness that only real musician can do for repeated notes. It's really a nice addition. This harp is highly capable of creating such a wide variety of useful and interesting sounds. As with anything, lots of round robin, velocities where applicable. Obviously with harmonics and Bartok and things, it's not really about the velocities, it's more about round robin because it's just a particular sound. Same with the textural thing. But like with Normale, we captured a good variety of velocities, so it's a very sensitive instrument. It has a great feel. So, and the last little section is tuning. Like a lot of the other world instruments, we've added the ability to do micro tuning. Now, obviously with a harp, you don't normally micro tune it, but if you want to get a little bit creative and enter into a more worldly approach with it, then potentially you could go through and do some different types of scales if you want to go down the Middle Eastern path and do some interesting micro tuning there and have fun with it. But for now, we'll leave all of that and we'll just go and have a little look at some sounds. Currently we have textural core, so let's just go through and have a play. With each articulation, the natural range has been captured. So we've done our best to capture as low and as high as it possibly can be. Some articulations have less of a range due to their particular nature and how they can be played. So let's have a listen. This is just a basic harp normale. So if we go ultra close now, we bring it way up on the virtual scoring stage. As you can hear we've got some artificial verb going. I'll turn that off just so you can hear the sound exactly as it is recorded. Obviously, the further you go back in the room, you get a little bit more room noise, but that's just life with these things. You imagine the harp is loud, but not like a drum loud. So when mics are far back in the room, they're going to naturally pick up, you need more gain to be able to hear what they're doing, hence more room noise and hiss. So hiss is part of life. It's just part of recording. So I would, in the end, there's always a sweet spot between close mics and the room mics. If you can find that really happy place, you'll be able to just get a nice balance. So somewhere like this. So it's just a really pretty instrument. I'm very, very happy with this one for sure. So let's just keep diving in. Harmonics. So xylophone. So that's almost got like a Pitts quality, this one. It's cool. And as you can see, there's less of a range with that one, and that's just the nature of this particular articulation. Bartok. Here we have a lovely little muted technique. This one's a prise de table, or however it's pronounced. Pinch. And tremolo. Now this technique is naturally quiet, it's not a very loud technique. So these are our core techniques. We will dive on to the next one. So textural extended. So these are all the, like a lot of prepared techniques. Okay, so the first one is paper. And fold back clips, so attaching these clips to the strings. Here we have a pick, so like using a guitar pick style thing. So it's got a very precise, clear sound because of the pick. Vibrato, this is a very limited range technique. It's almost got an oriental feel to this one. And blue tack. So this one's a little bit wild. So some of the notes, just because the way the blue tack reacts with the string, some of the notes get a little bit weird from a pitching point of view, but it is in fact accurate. It's just, you'll see what I mean. Man, I love the low notes on this one. As you go higher, it's quite different. Because it kind of alters the pitch, the blue tack. Let's bring up the clip, make it really close and see how that sounds. Yeah, that's a favorite of mine for sure. Here we have what we call the sitar technique. It sounds, well, pretty much like a sitar. Yeah, it's very, very nice. And then a bunch of random effects. nice horror sound there. And then now on to Glissandi. Here we're just currently listening to a major scale. If we just, maybe it's easy just to demonstrate here, just showing what I'm clicking on. Currently it's set to 120, but let's change that to 80. Because this was it was originally recorded at 80, but you know, you can change the BPM if you like. So 2 different speeds going down, and now we can go up. Now we're moving on to another scale. And now we're on to a minor harmonic. And then augmented. Pentatonic. And whole. So there really is a lot of flexibility there. You can definitely use these in your track, and it will add a lot of that liveliness, which is hard to do when you're just programming individual samples. So having an actual recorded glissandi is fantastic. And on to the last section, motions. So as mentioned previously, this was inspired by the Chronicles series that I do, and thought it might be fun to apply this to a harp. So recorded movements of sticking to a particular note, playing a particular rhythm. So at the moment, you've got a whole note. So as you can hear there, I was just holding it down, and then it was just playing one ping on the first beat of each bar. Ping. And the cool thing about these is that you're getting that little pre-attack inflection that happens when the real musician is playing the note again within a repeated sequence. So it really adds a natural flavor. So you can go through, we can have a look and listen to the half, which is this. we're just gradually getting faster, and because each speed, there's always a different sonic feeling that you get when you're when the musician's playing a bit faster, different types of pre-attacks. It's definitely, those subtleties add to the realism. So it's just really quite lovely. That was quarter note. And then on to eighths. So here, as you're getting faster, there's a different attack, a different intensity. And we have sixteenths. The sixteenths isn't really a traditional, or an easy to do technique, because if you imagine, you've got to go ba 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 really quickly, and then keeping that consistent, it does get quite hard on the musician's fingers. But Emily did an amazing job. She really powered on through, and we got a pretty awesome technique. And then the last little one here is triplets. So yeah, that's just a nice, easy, happy little technique at the end. So that was our World Strings Harp instrument, so thank you very much for sticking with me. I really love creating this one, and I hope you enjoy it. So thanks again for tuning in, keep safe, and until next time. Cheers!